Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, noon East Coast Standard Time, which means it's time to get your hustle on. This is Young Hustlers on the Cardone Zone. And man, it feels great to be back. Was in Singapore, in Malaysia for the first 2 of 24 international events that we have on the calendar over the next 2 years. And it was so amazing to get connected with people from all around the world, from literally every different walk of life you can imagine. And to see how far that message of 10X and more has reached. It was truly inspiring, and it was so great to be a part of it. So thank you here for being here today, and know that you are in the company of people from literally all around the world that are here every week trying to do one thing: get better. And so today I have a great show lined up. As I look back over the trip, I was reflecting on, really how far I've come personally, and looking back, almost 10 years when I started with Grant, and where I was at, like where my finances were at, where mentally I was at, like where I was just at in life. And I was sitting on the balcony in my hotel room in Singapore, looking at the most beautiful view and backdrop you can imagine. And I was like, man, I can't believe that this is happening right now. Like, the brand has gotten to a point where we're literally doing big events all around the world. And, I had a moment of reflection, and I thought back to all the things that took me a little too long to figure out. And so I wanted to do today's show on the top 5 mistakes that you're doing in sales right now that are costing you millions. May not be costing you millions right now, but when you look back, you will look back and go, man, that cost me millions of dollars. If I would have gotten this right out of the gate, then things would have happened for me a lot faster. So I hope that from this show you take these messages and these tidbits of information to heart and act on them. If you have questions, call into the show, 305-865-8668, 305-865-8668. If you are watching this live on Facebook, hit a comment, 10X, let me know you're there. If you have questions, you can also ask them on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or Instagram, or Snapchat, or wherever. Just tag me in it, and I'll answer your questions. I try to do my best doing that. So 5 mistakes that you are making in sales that are going to cost you millions. Number 1 mistake that you are making right now, most people in sales are making this. The more experience they get, the more they experience this problem. Number 1 mistake. You expect to get paid like a professional, but you train like an amateur. Can you imagine LeBron James saying, you know what, man, I don't need to practice anymore. I don't need to train anymore. I got this. I'm LeBron James. Would never happen. Could you imagine a judge or a lawyer that said, you know what, I'm not learning anything new. I'm done reading cases. I'm done studying. I'm done educating myself because I'm good. Could you imagine a doctor not being up to date with the most current things that are happening, that changes the developments in science and research in their field because they know enough? Of course not. Some of the top professionals, some of the highest paid people in the world are constantly educating and training themselves. But you think that you know it all. Now, like, self-education on a continual basis is the most important thing as a sales professional, as a business professional. I know that when I'm reading and I'm educating myself, like, that is when I get levels of motivation that are higher than at any point in my life. When you learn something new, it opens your mind, it expands your thinking, and it's inspiring. Like, I don't know anybody that can go through and read a book, learn something from it, and not feel more motivated than they were before. The accumulation of information is motivating. Somebody messaged me on Instagram. We're hiring salespeople right now for the Cardone Kern agency. So we just launched an ad agency about 4 weeks ago, literally off the rails. We can't, we have so many leads that we can't even get to all of them. So we're hiring salespeople right now. Sales guys making, $7, $8, $9 a week. Massive opportunity. If you're interested, send a 60-second video and a resume to careers at grantcardone.com, put ad sales in the subject line. My point in telling you that is that like I had somebody from a country, Suriname, Suriname, and I was like, where is that? And I Googled it, and it's a country in South America. And I learned, like in a moment, I was like, wow, dude, like there's countries that I don't even know the name of. And then I looked at the two countries that were next to it, and it's French Guiana and Guyana. This little town called Suriname or Suriname or something like that is sandwiched in between them. And I'm like, man, there's so much stuff out there I don't know. And it's so exciting for me and encouraging for me when I learn these things. And so as you learn and you gather and you collect information and data along your life, in your career, you have these moments. And, you know, revisiting information that you've learned in the past is always a good idea. So if I went through and I read Sell or Be Sold when I first started working, like I did, I would have an amazing experience from it because I'd be learning all these new things. If I went back to it today and read that book again today, I would be looking through that book in a totally different lens. And it would allow me to like look at the information because I am a different person. So it would be like a new person reading that book and going through it and consuming the information. And I guarantee you I'd have a great experience and I'd be more motivated and I'd think about a few different things. And so like the ability to continually educate yourself. Like if you can't say, I am committed right now at the level of a professional athlete, then you are selling yourself short. If you can't look at your life and say, man, I am all over it. My discipline is like a pro athlete. If you cannot say that, then do not be frustrated with where you're at right now. And what I mean by that is, if you're not making the money that you think you should be making and you're not training like a pro, it's your fault. You shouldn't be frustrated with it because you're not even doing the work. Like the time you should be frustrated is I'm doing all the work, I'm training like a pro, I'm going all in, I'm doing the right things, I'm being disciplined, and I'm not making the money I deserve to make. If that's the case, then you are justified in feeling like that. But you can't expect to be paid one way and then your actions reflect something else. Like this fortunately for me, it took me about 4 months to realize this. A lot of people, this takes a long time. This takes years. Some people never understand it. But after 4 months, I was like, dude, I remember I was making $2,500 a month. And I was like, man, I expect in my mind, I think I should be making 250 grand a year. That was my first target. I expect to be making 250 grand a year. I expect to be paid like a professional. Think about the people that make 250 grand a year. Like that is like 1% of the population of the United States makes $250,000 a year or more. Think about the type of people that make 250 grand a year. And when I was thinking like, dude, am I doing the stuff that they're doing? Am I making the sacrifices that they made? I started going through and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're not even setting yourself up. You're not even doing the right things to get in the arena of making the kind of money you want to make. So if you're not making the kind of money you want to make, look at your situation right now and be like, am I practicing, training, educating, developing, being disciplined like a professional athlete? Because you can't expect to get paid like a pro if you're not acting like one, training like one. First mistake. Second mistake, you don't ever set real goals and targets. So like you have goals and targets in your mind, but they're half-baked. And what I mean by that is like you have a goal or a target, but you haven't invested any time in it. Like you haven't invested any time in figuring out what a real goal is for you. You haven't invested the time to figure out like where you actually want to go. This is one of the most powerful exercises that you can do. Can you get on the camera and zoom this in, Francisco?
Yes, sir.
I want to show you guys something that I did at the beginning of the year here. So at the beginning of the year, I spend.
Actually, this is assume that I have.
That's all you got? Here, let me just show it. Let me just show this because this is important. Okay, so I went through and I figured out. I went through and I figured out like how much my ideal life right now, like what I view my ideal life as, how much that would cost. And I went through and I said, okay, I need to make $4 million a year in order to invest $1 million a year in real estate, fund my ideal life, and have discretionary money, vacations, cars that I want to drive, all that stuff, etc., right? Then I went through and I said, hey, that means that we would have to get to $250 million in annual sales with a $75 million net. And then I went through and I broke out where all of the money's going to come from in the organization with my goals. So like that took time to do. Like I went through and researched in the area homes that I want to live in. And I said, how much is it going to cost to rent that house? Because I didn't want to buy it. Went through, I said, hey, how much is the car payment on the Escalade for the wife? I'd love to have a 911 Turbo S Porsche, wanted one for a while. How much is it going to cost to lease one of those? How much is it going to cost for me to have a fun four-door sedan to drive? Because, you know, I'm probably not going to drive a Porsche every day. I want to have Jake in a private school. I want to have the ability to have the nanny live with us, have her own car. Like, I got to pay insurance on all this stuff. I need to have X amount of dollars for incidentals. I want to have a boat. I want to go on 4 vacations a year and spend at least 25 grand, flying there, staying there, enjoying our time there. Like I went through and I mapped all of this out. You know, like you wonder why your goals aren't exciting. It's because you don't touch them. You don't actually go through and like make the connection between the goal and what it looks like and then own that. You know, you'll never own your goals if you don't see it all the way through. So this is what I want my life to look like right now. Now, that's what I want my life to look like today. That's my short-term goal, right? What I want when I'm 50 is different than what I want from today, right? So now I got to go through when I'm 50 and I got to be like, okay, well, when I'm 50, I'd like to have the option not to work. Never could do it. Like I could never not work. I'd have to do something. But I'd like to have that option, right? So what does that mean? That means you have to have passive income. So now all the calculations in math change because now I have to get to a point where income gets me to the point where I can generate passive income to cover that. So now I got to figure out how to get passive income. You know, $4 million a year in income was the target there for this life. So if I wanted to live that life, then what I have to do is I have to figure out what's the passive income target. Now, passive income gets taxed a little differently than earned income. Passive income gets taxed at about 22%, I think is the rate. So I wouldn't have to make as much, but you probably have to have 2.8 million or so in passive income per year in order to fund that same lifestyle without creating any new income, which still gives me the ability to invest $1 million a year, which still gives me the ability to do all that. So the reason that you're failing is because you never make the full connection between your goal and what it actually takes to get there. You know, people write, I want to make $500,000 a year. They think that's a big target. And they're like, yeah, and I want to go on these vacations, and I want to go on this, and I want to do that. You're like, man, by the time you get through your mortgage payment or your rent payment for your house and the vacations you want to go on, you're out of money. Like the money's all gone. You don't have any money for your car. You don't have any money for discretion. You don't have any money for recreation or dinners or whatever. Or, like you have nothing left over. So you have to dig down and actually take the time to sit down like I did and go find out, hey, how much does it cost to lease a turbo Porsche, brand new turbo Porsche S? How much does an Escalade cost? How much does that house on that island in Miami cost to rent? You know, how much, like you have to make the connection all the way through. Otherwise, you're chasing a goal that you really have a blind spot on. The best way I could describe it is a blind spot. And you know, you're writing down, oh, I want to make $1 million a year, but the life you want will take 5. So then when you get to $1 million a year, you start getting close, you realize, man, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. And then you have this defeat. So take the time to like make the full connection between where you want to go and how you're going to get there. Number 3 biggest mistake is I never committed to follow up until I committed to follow-up. The fortune's in the follow-up. Probably 80% or better, 85% of the deals that you ever do in your life will require follow-up for more than 2 weeks. But the majority of salespeople, after 2 weeks, they forget. What about follow-up for the people you do deals with? You want to talk about the cheapest customer to get? The cheapest customer to get and the highest grossing customer you can get, most profitable customer you can get, is a customer that comes from a referral. You don't have to acquire a new customer, you just have to call and service and support an existing one. So massive, massive opportunity in follow-up. You know, as you commit to becoming a pro with follow-up, you start learning tricks and you start learning gimmicks and you start learning what actually works. But most people never experience success with follow-up because they never do enough work in the first place. They never push enough. They never follow up enough to see the result. So again, it's like if I put an axe in your hand and I said, go chop down that tree, and you were swinging and swinging and swinging and swinging, and you had no idea, like imagine you had a blindfold on. You had no idea how far you were. Like that level of uncertainty would cause people to quit. They'd be like, yeah, I'm done. The tree's never gonna fall down. You didn't know that it was a freaking sequoia, you know? Where if I said, no blindfold, here's the axe, you have to swing the axe 650 times, and once you do that, the tree will fall down. And when that tree falls down, there's $1 million in the trunk. Dude, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be counting those swings because you know exactly how many times it's gonna take before that thing falls down. You have the right expectation. So these are like little tricks, and fortunately, again, I'm so fortunate that I figured all of this stuff out within the first 6 months that I was working for Grant. You know, like, and for a lot of people, they never figure this out. And so they end up frustrated. I hate sales. This isn't the right thing for me. But they're missing like small little pieces of information that allow them to set the right expectations so they actually know that they're doing the right things along the way to get them where they want to go. Because I think that's where dissatisfaction comes from. It comes from you wanting to be in one place but not understanding how to get there for too long. You know, you know, you have to have a path, a trusted path. Like when we have sales guys that start, we have a trusted path that gets them to the point where they're producing, right? They follow the path that we've laid out until they get to the point where they're producing, and now they can start like ad-libbing and changing things and making it their own. But every single time we have salespeople deviate from what we know to be the successful thing that works, and they do that prior to them being successful, they always fail. They always fall off the tracks. They always end up getting fired or they end up quitting. Because they start bypassing and jumping off of the path that we know to be successful. Because they get all these things in their head, uncertainty, doubt, hey, what's this guy doing? What's that person doing? They start focusing on all the wrong things. They need to focus on themselves, and they need to focus on the path that we've laid out. Right? So like it's so important that you understand the expectations that should be tied to these things. So number one, you expect to get paid like a pro, but you train like an amateur. Number two, you never make the real connection between a true goal and target because you never see it all the way through to the end and then work your way backwards. So like not only did I go through and I listed out how much everything's gonna cost to live the way I wanna live, but then I went through and figured out how much revenue the company needs to make in net for me to get where I want to be. And then I got to go down and figure out by department where all that's going to come from. And then I got to go figure out like each day, what do we need to do to get closer to there? So there's so much work that has to go into goals, and most of you stop with jotting down a few things that you think would sound nice. You get the goals right, you get the intention right, you get your certainty right, I promise you, you'll lean in harder than you ever thought you could. And then number three, one of the most important things in sales, probably top three, follow up. You gotta follow up. You know, top three most important things in sales, in my opinion, training and development, follow up, and then number 4 on the list here, which I'm gonna cover in a minute, is prospecting. Prospecting. Pipeline is so important. Prospecting, follow-up, training. Let's go to the phones. Nat. Oh, well, you just told me you. Call. Oh, yeah. Hey, call. I thought you were saying we got callers on the line. 305-865-8668 if you have questions on things that you may be messing up with. If you're not making the kind of money that you want to be making right now in sales, I have a solution for you. Tell me your problem. I will bless you with the solution, the sales solution. So number 4 is you rely on weak prospecting and a weak pipeline to fund your activities, your goals, your life, your plan, your mission, that thing that you take the time to write out. So like pipeline and outbound reach and lines in the water is one of the top 3, in my opinion, most important things in sales. Like every time I go out deep sea fishing, they have 9 lines in the water. Like they don't rely on one line to catch one fish. They got lines, like literally they have as many lines as they can get out on the boat without them getting all tangled up and twisted as the boat's moving around. So like the amount of outflow that you put into the marketplace is so senior to all of the things that you actually worry about. Like you can actually be an average salesperson, an average closer, but if you are a pro at prospecting and a pro at follow-up, you'll win. All you have to do is have the confidence and certainty to go out into the marketplace, identify someone, drop them in a pipeline, and then follow up with them with enough VAFU, value-added follow-up, enough VAFU to get them to actually start going through the sales process on their own. When you get them on the phone call, you have less importance on your ability to pitch the deal the right way or your ability to close the deal because you've created the opportunity. People think that closers are like the most important thing. Dude, the most important thing is somebody who can create an opportunity. Like that is, if you don't have an opportunity, you have nobody to close. If you're the strongest closer in the world, but you can't create an opportunity for yourself and you're gonna rely on the company, I'm sorry, but that's not as important to me. What's important is that I got guys back there that can pick up a phone, take somebody that's in a cold ocean and bring them closer to the boat until they get interested and learn enough about our product so that the salesperson has to do a mediocre job at pitching the deal because the customer is going through the process on their own. By the way, the average customer is 67% of the way through the sales process before they even agree to talk to you. So they've played this out a lot further down the road than you think when you get them on the phone. They've gone through, is this worth my time? Can my company benefit from this? It's likely going to be an investment. Can we allocate the money right now? Like they're going through all that stuff before they even get on the phone. I know because I do that same thing. I don't jump on the phone with anybody, unless I'm like, there's an opportunity here. Unless I'm getting on the phone to tell them, hey dude, as a courtesy, just want to let you know, not a player now, will never be a player, but I appreciate the follow-up. Like I'll do that just to kind of pat somebody on the back because I'm a sales guy and I know what the value of that is. So like you've got to get the pipeline thing right. You have to become a professional at prospecting. You have to you've got to figure out how to create something because it's the most valuable thing to an organization. Don't provide me a lead. Don't spend $1 on advertising for me because I will go out and create all of my own opportunities. That's a strong pitch, dude. Super strong. Number 5. Finally, biggest mistake that you make in sales is you do not invest in networking and connections. This was a hard one for me. Like right now, because of where I am with Grant, because of how long I've been with him, I get access to connect with a ton of people. Like I literally just went through and answered probably 150 messages on Instagram, which by the way, I allocate time to Instagram every day, just the same way I allocate time to my email inbox. It's that important of a resource. Like I literally just responded to probably, if I had to guess, probably 60 people that responded to a video that I posted on my story yesterday or the day before about us hiring salespeople for the ad agency. Like those are important messages. Like those are just like emails coming into my inbox. So now I'm going through and responding to every one of them so that we can continue to grow the business that way. So again, multiple lines in the water. But connections and networking are vital. Like people that you don't know right now have everything that you want in life. You know, like I get connected with somebody on Instagram a year ago. He messages me. I actually respond back because I go through and I try to respond to every message that comes in. Questions that ask, like I try to invest and give to people there. And we start talking about wanting to go to Saudi Arabia. Guy hits me. He's like, hey, I can get Grant into Saudi Arabia. Next thing I know, I'm on an email thread going back and forth with the Saudi Arabian General Investment Authority. And we're talking about how to get Grant there. They're helping facilitate visas. They're doing all this stuff already because of a connection that I had. Because I invested the time to say, hey man, if you ask me a question, I'm gonna take the time to answer it to the best that I can, right? So now networking, it was not an easy thing for me. Like I hate networking. I'm so like I get so like the fluff of like, oh hey, what's going on? How you doing? What do you do for work? Oh yeah, that's great. Like I hate that. Like I want to get straight through the whole thing. Hey man, what do you do? Can we do something together? Like, but you can't do that, right? So for me, it's like I have to do something that I really don't like doing to like go into a room with a bunch of people and meet them and shake their hand, you know, interrupt their conversation. You know, it's just terrible, right? So what you should do is you should get into environments that are conducive to people networking. So there's networking events that probably go on in your area. Like these are places where people have the intention of actually going and getting connected with people. They go there because they are trying to like get connected and meet people and network with people. And like of anything in my life that I hear feedback from, like I've never heard more feedback about this one thing than anything else in my life. Like people reach out and respond. They're like, hey man, thanks for the show. It's been great. But like even more so than that, the people that reach out to me and they go, the networking at the 10X Growth Conference was without a doubt the most valuable thing that I've ever done in my life. Like they come, they meet people, they get connected, now they have a business. Like I know guys that have come and got connected. I get connected with a guy from the UK who's got a bunch of gyms and he's doing this super cool thing in the fitness space. And then we've got another guy over here from 10X Health Systems, Gary Brecka. And then next thing I know, these two guys are meeting. Like, I don't know if they met through us, they met through GrowthCon, they were both there, they see each other, we're all doing stuff together. Next thing you know, they're doing stuff together. Like the value of connecting with people. The ad agency that we have is a result of Frank and I connecting. Like we connected. I had been following and banging on him like years ago. And then he remembered, probably because I followed up enough to actually get on his radar, that he remembered, oh wow, hey, these guys, blah, 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 a couple years go by, we get connected again. So like the value of networking and connections is so important. And every year, that is something that we put at the forefront of the 10X Growth Conference. It's coming up this year. In fact, we're doing a major announcement tonight about the 10X Growth Conference. We've been selling hundreds of tickets for the event already, and we haven't even announced a date, a venue, or any speakers, any of the entertainment. All we've done is said, hey, we're gonna do the event, and it's gonna be awesome, and you need to be there. But today is the day that we will announce the dates and the location of the 2020 10X Growth Conference, and I am more excited than any event we've ever done. I say that every year, but every year they keep getting better. And I know what we've got lined up for this year, and I promise you it will be the one that you do not want to miss. And so if you want to jump on the live announcement, it's happening today at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. You can enroll. This is only available for people who register. You can register at 10xgrowthcon.com/secret. That's 10xgrowthcon.com/secret. If you register there, 5 p.m. today, we are going to go through and we're going to announce some major things about the 10X Growth Conference. So you definitely want to be there. Natalie, we got some people on the phone.
Yes, you got Tori in Sarasota, Florida.
Tori, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Jared? I was just wondering, I was going to pick you, I do that through Instagram. I was wondering, can you tell the story of how you got hired with Grant Cardone? Like, what was your first meeting, and then how'd you become the second guy?
Yeah, so I had reached out to Grant because my dad sent me a YouTube video. I didn't really love the job that I was in at the time, and my dad sent me a video of this guy, and I'm like, dude, this guy's great. At the time on YouTube, this was really before social media had really hit hard. So I just started calling, and like I said here, I started following up enough to actually get their attention. For a month and a half, I followed up with the office just to try to get an appointment to get interviewed. Over and over and over again, I knew everybody in the office. I went up, I interviewed, and they offered me the job on the spot. So, it was a different deal back then. It was a different, the company had like 4 employees that were full-time. Somebody in shipping, somebody in web, the assistant, and one kind of quasi-sales guy. I mean, it was looking back now, it was it's like a startup, like when you think about like Apple or Microsoft when they start and then you look at where they're at now. I mean, I can only hope that we get to somewhere near that, but it was just a small company back then. So today we have 130 employees. We have like 14 major business units that we have cranking right now, and more opportunity than we ever have had before. So, but it all was a result. If I would not have followed up, then I wouldn't have created the opportunity. See, I created the opportunity for myself, and I continued to create opportunity for myself while I was in the organization. Like, I didn't just show up and do a job. I kept like finding new things to do that would continue to add value to the company, bringing in new clients, taking on more responsibility, doing things that needed to be done before somebody like asked for them to be done, and just showing up every day like the company was mine.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Okay, like I said, I'll hit you through Instagram. My last name is Knuckleburger. One time before we go, could you say, Young Hustler?
Let's go.
All right, sir.
All right, bro. Appreciate the call. Appreciate the call.
All right, you got Emmanuel in Orlando.
A lot of Florida. Emmanuel from Orlando. What's happening?
Hey, Jared, how we doing?
Good, brother. Appreciate your call today. What's your question?
Hey, I've called in a few times, but now I'm actually I'm with the agency, with the Cardone Kern agency. I'm on the media buying side of it, so I'm happy to be on the team with you, man.
Nice, brother. Good to have you.
So my question, I tuned into the show a little bit, and I kind of saw you talking about connections and networking and things like that. And, kind of with these opportunities, I've started to meet. I went to boot camp. I've been to GrowthCon, going to a lot of other events, and you start to meet people that are influential. And 2 years ago, it kind of seemed like a pipe dream. But my question is, I know you've met a lot of people, and I know you know a lot of people. Is there something maybe in the beginning that you wish you would have known to kind of make the connections that you get more valuable?
More valuable in what sense?
More valuable just as far as like, as far as professionally, like as far as just people that you met and you followed up with them long term. Like I know you said you talked to Frank 2 years ago. Maybe you did business with him, but is there maybe something for someone going into it and meeting these people to really bring value to them?
So it's kind of one of those things like in sales, right? You make a pitch or an offer and people say yes or no. And then you just got to do that a bunch in order to sell stuff. Like super simplified, right? The same thing applies to networking and connecting. Like you have to keep kind of going through the process. You have to keep going through the process over and over and over again to find like you could connect and reach out to and try to add value to 1,000 people, and only 50 of them are going to have a positive response. So it's similar to a sales process in the way that you continue to make your offer over and over and over again to a new prospect, and they say yes or no, and they become a client or they don't become a client. Same thing happens with networking. You go out, you make your offer over and over and over and over and over again. Some say yes, and they become a part of your network and connection, and then some say no, or some say some just don't respond at all. So I think the biggest thing that you could do that would add value or be an advantage right now, something that would be a successful action, is just reach out a lot. You know, if you're initiating the reach, try to qualify who you're reaching out to, put them in a bucket of how you can connect with them or benefit from them or engage with them. Put them in a bucket, and then just know that's the bucket that they're gonna fit in. I mean, like, I wouldn't go on Instagram and randomly like connect with a bunch of people. Like, try to create the group that you wanna have. You know, like, everybody's in control of their network. Like, you're not a victim of your network. You're not like an effect of your network. You're the cause of it. You know, if you don't like somebody, you don't connect with them. Like, look at how many people do you keep around you that you hate, you despise, you can't stand them. I promise you, if those people are around you, it's not because of your choice. It's because of something else. Like, there's some other factor. Like, you may hate your boss. Like, if you continue to show up every day, it's because you need a job and that job pays you well or whatever. Like, if you hate your boss that much, you quit, you leave, you go somewhere else. You take that person out of your network. So, like, you are in 100% control of it. So if you want to have lawyers and doctors and professional golfers and certified personal trainers as your 5 buckets of people that you connect and network with, then you have the ability to go, hey, I want to fill those buckets up. So it's probably first starts with clarity on your end about who you're trying to connect with and why. And then the second is do it in enough volume to actually find people, because you're going to try to add value to people and they're going to be like, it's too much work what you're asking me to do. It's too much work for me to, how can I add value? Dude, I don't know. Bring me customers, and don't, make it easy for me. Like, ideally, So you just kind of have to go through that.
Gotcha, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate your help and appreciate you being part of our team at the Cardone Kern Agency. Big announcement tonight, 10X Growth Conference. We are announcing the location, we are announcing the dates, and we are announcing some special things that you definitely want to be there for. So we've got over 25,000 people registered already for the live announcement tonight. Go to 10xgrowthcon.com/secret to register. It's going to be a private invitation only link that we are reserving for our loyal followers, the people that are closest to us. And all I can tell you is that you definitely want to be on this broadcast. You definitely want to make your decision to come to the Growth Conference early. And I'll go into more detail about why on the live stream tonight, 5 p.m. East Coast Standard Time, 10xgrowthcon.com/secret. Quick recap, 5 biggest mistakes that you're making in sales that are going to cost you freaking millions. Number 1, you expect to get paid like a pro, but you train like a punk. Number 2, you never actually set real goals and targets, meaning you actually take the time to figure out what the implications are of the goal, how much the goal you set's going to cost, and then how much work you need to do, how many units of business you need to do in order to hit that target. Number 3 biggest mistake is you don't commit to follow-up. You never do enough follow-up to see the result. Therefore, you don't value follow-up. Biggest mistake you'll make. Number 4 is you rely on a puny, weak, suck pipeline. Like, you got like 1 line barely in the water dragging. You need to freaking get 50 lines in the water, and you need to turn into a maniac. You need to go full maniac mode for probably like 6 or 7 years. And when you do that, full maniac mode for 6 or 7 years, like, everything will be different. This is not a sprint. It's kind of like halfway between a sprint and a marathon. Because once you get to that point, you build enough of a base where it starts getting easier. It does. Like, it begins to get a bit easier. It's not just straight up cold calls. Your network's grown big enough. So don't rely on a weak pipeline. Number 5, invest in networking and connections. People you don't know have everything you'll ever want in life. So these connections, the more you have, the better they are. We can post that we're going to be in Malaysia or Thailand or Singapore or Romania or Dubai or Australia or New Zealand or wherever, and we have friends there because we've built a big network. Best place you can build a network that I know of, right here with the Cardone team at the 10X Growth Conference. So get on the live stream tonight. 10xgrowthcon.com/secret is the only place you can get access. 10xgrowthcon.com/secret. Register, be there, because we're going to be announcing something major for the 10X Growth Conference. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today on Young Hustlers. And remember, the only people who condemn the hustle are the ones who've already given up on the Hustler themselves. We'll see you next week.